In modern culture, the 13th century mystic Rumi is treated like a spiritual weighted blanket. We scroll through bite-sized quotes to feel safe, validated, and comforted in our current state. But his masterpiece, the Masnavi, suggests a massive cultural misunderstanding of his work. He had no interest in helping you build a slightly more peaceful, polished version of your current identity. His entire philosophical project required that identity to be demolished. Approaching his mysticism as a cozy room to rest our weary souls ignores his central demand for the catastrophic undoing of the self. Experts in Sufi metaphysics refer to this desire for psychological safety as Khami, the raw state. In their framework, staying comfortable is a deadly trap. Rumi compares a comfortable human ego to a hard, stubborn stone. A stone enjoys perfect stability. It never changes, it never bleeds, and it never suffers. But absolutely nothing can grow on it. For a garden to emerge, the stone has to be pulverized into soil. It must entirely lose its solid shape. Rumi reframes the severe crises of a human life, the breakups, the failures, the existential dread, as the pressure needed to fracture that stone-like ego. These moments of pain provide the friction that turns a solid, static surface into something receptive and fertile. Choosing to avoid this necessary collapse ensures you remain a cold, barren rock forever. This brings us to the Sufi doctrine of Fana, the total annihilation of the self. To explain how this works, Rumi uses the spatial metaphor of an alchemical ruin. Imagine you buy a plot of land, and buried deep beneath the foundation of a crumbling, ugly hut is a massive chest of gold. Securing the treasure requires a sledgehammer. To reach the gold, the owner must oversee a total structural collapse of the existing building. Those old walls are your intellectual certainties, your social status, and your pride. The sledgehammer is divine love and spiritual trial. When your life feels like it is falling apart, Rumi's advice is brutally counterintuitive. Stop trying to patch the cracks and let the structure fall. True spiritual wealth, your actual divine essence, remains hidden until the protective architecture of your false self is reduced to rubble. Near the end of his life, Rumi summarized his spiritual progression in 3 distinct phases. I was raw, I was cooked, I was burned. Notice the distinction between those last 2 stages. Cooking implies a controlled heat, a process managed for utility. Burning implies a total loss of control. In the Masnavi, he illustrates this with a blacksmith hammering a piece of raw iron. The blacksmith hammers the metal to forge a sharp blade, focusing on the future purpose of the steel rather than the temporary distress of the iron. The raw shape of the metal has to completely surrender to the flames. It is a visceral phase where the original form collapses and is entirely consumed by the fire. If you find yourself in the middle of a dark night of the soul, Rumi says you should pray for the collapse of your raw nature so you can finally be integrated into something cosmic. Rumi is not the poet for anyone seeking a painless, ego-validating path to enlightenment. This catastrophic collapse provides the essential foundation for what Rumi calls rebirth. We can see this exact same dynamic in nature. A seed has to split apart to birth a tree. Rigid ice has to melt and completely lose its shape to become a flowing river. Stripping away the comfortable ego reveals an underlying, immortal soul that cannot be destroyed. Stop resisting the demolition. Let the house fall. Let the stone break. What specific part of your protective stone needs to shatter today so your transformation can begin? Let me know in the comments.